Hi everyone, my name's Becks and I am a youth worker with the charity Chili Pep, which is a children and young people's empowerment project. And I'm basically a youth worker with them where I support our young people who are aged 14 to 25 to create change around like issues that are important to them. And for me, that is mental health. And I'm going to talk to you a bit about my career path, as it were, and what kind of led me to this role. Because I didn't really take the like standard like GCSE, sixth form, university job sort of route that a lot of my peers took. Um, so I did my GCSEs. I went to All Saints in Sheffield. I did my GCSEs. That was all fine. It was all like A's and A stars. I didn't find it too taxing. I just revised a lot, and I seemed to just about get my way through it. Because of my high grades at GCSE, I was predicted A's and A stars at A levels as well. Um, but unfortunately, I had a bit of a bad time with my mental health, and went into a bit of a mental health crisis, and I did not get those grades that I was predicted. Like I said, I was struggling quite a lot with my mental health. And for some reason, I was doing 5A levels still at All Saints. I went to their sixth form. So I was doing general studies, health and social care, English literature, geography, and psychology. And what I came out with was kind of a nice mixture of C's, D's, and U's. So my plan up until that point was to go to Manchester Uni and study speech therapy. Obviously, because I didn't get those grades, I couldn't do that anymore. So I took a bit of a gap year, I'd say. So I I started working at Go Outdoors in Hathersage, which is out in the Peak District. Passed my driving test, so I could drive out there every day. And during that time, I was still like struggling quite a bit with my mental health, and I started volunteering to like campaign to like change the mental health system because it failed me quite a lot. And I did that volunteering and campaigning through Chili Pep, who I now actually work for. And they gave me a lot of support as well when I was kind of 18. And after a year of working at Go Outdoors, I decided, right, I think I'm well enough to go to uni now. And I like books, so I was like, right, I'll do English literature. That's going to be well easy. It was not. I found out that like education at that level kind of really wasn't for me. I couldn't like answer questions in the way that they wanted me to answer questions, and it all just it didn't feel comfortable, and I didn't even end up sitting my exams at the end of the year. So I have a lot of student debt and absolutely nothing to show for it for that year. And I was still kind of struggling with my mental health as well, to be fair, which didn't help. And I thought, right, I love volunteering. I love Chili Pep. At that time, I'd started volunteering for Young Health Watch as well, which is like a group of young people who try to improve health and social care services for other young people. So I thought, right, I love this. I will try and do a youth work course. So I started trying to transfer over. And at that time, I was offered a job being the children and young people's engagement lead at Health Watch. So I thought rather than studying youth work, I'll just work in it. So I started working at Health Watch, which was amazing. I got to run the group that I used to be part of. So I worked at Healthwatch for about a year, and then unfortunately we had our funding kind of cut and restructured, so my role didn't exist anymore. So unfortunately I was made redundant. So that was obviously quite heartbreaking at the time. I was only 19, and to be made redundant at that time, it really did feel like everything was falling down on me. But I managed to get a job at the national charity Time to Change, which is another mental health campaigning charity. And I was in charge of all children and young people's like mental health campaigns in Yorkshire, the Humber, and the North East. So that was obviously quite a big job for me at 19. I was travelling all over, and so I was working from home, and I had to go down to London to the main office once a month. But that was only 2 days a week, so I couldn't really live on just working 2 days a week. So I started working at the Crisis House, which is a ward alternative for people who are having mental health crises, and that's based in Sheffield, so I started working there as well. And I started working as well at the Rotherham Crisis House, which existed at that time. So I kind of had two jobs at once, which involved a lot of juggling, especially since the Time to Change work was like 9 to 5 on a Monday and Tuesday, and the Crisis House work was shift work, 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. or 9 p.m. till 9 a.m. So I didn't have much of a life at that point, but yeah, I really enjoyed them both. And then after a year at Time to Change, again, the funding was an issue, and I had to leave there, and I went full-time at the Crisis House. So after 3 years of working at the Crisis House, which was really emotionally taxing, it was really hard to manage your mental health, because mental health crisis care is really pressurized. The funding is an absolute basement level. You're just trying to scrape by on minimum wage, doing the best you can. So yeah, after 3 years, I decided that I just basically couldn't do it anymore. So I started up my campaigning and activism-y stuff again, and started working with Mental Health UK, which are another national mental health campaigns charity. And I started doing work in schools, teaching teachers as well as the students about mental health, how to build up your resilience, and things like that. So I started doing that. So I left the Crisis House and started doing that on the 9th of March 2020. And if we cast our minds back past the last horrible year, lockdown started on something like the 23rd of March. So I had about 2 or 3 weeks of working in a school, and this was all freelance as well. I had about 3 weeks of actually working in that job, and then obviously lockdown started, which meant I couldn't go into schools, and because I was freelance, I couldn't, I had no pay throughout it all, and because I'd only been doing freelance for 3 weeks, I couldn't get proper universal credit. So lockdown was a struggle, but we made it through. And during that time, to keep myself occupied, I helped sew scrubs and uniforms for the hospitals, and they got sent to Rotherham Hospital and the Northern at Sheffield. And then towards the end of the pandemic, not towards the end of the pandemic, because it's not really over yet, is it? Towards the end of 2020, so in September, I noticed that Chili Pep had a vacancy, and I went for it and I got the job. So that is how I've come full circle from being a Chili Pep young person to actually working at Chili Pep. So now my kind of day-to-day jobs are supporting my young people. I've got 22 who are on our books at the minute, so I support them to do campaigns, and we meet once a week as well, so I have to run that. I'm in charge of their like safeguarding, so keeping them safe from harm. Also have to go to a lot of meetings from our funders and sort of meet those obligations that we need to do in order for our funders to keep on funding us. So I also line manage our assistant project worker, who is an absolute star, who helps me absolutely loads to run the project. Yeah, so I'm not really sure if there's much else I can say about it. But the difference from being like 18 and not having any of the qualifications that I wanted to being now. I'm 25 and I'm in a job that I absolutely adore, and I can genuinely say that I'm really happy, which is really nice. Just goes to show that you don't have to take the normal route to get to a nice place, and to be happy. So yeah, thank you for listening to me, and I hope it helped.